Hi, everybody. Welcome to Attract and Stand Out Virtual Summit. I'm your host, Darlene Holly, and I am so excited to be bringing you these amazing conversations with women who are out there living the dream and growing their businesses. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Darlene Holly, and I'm a personal branding and business clarity coach, and I teach ambitious, heart-centered online entrepreneurs how to create a successful personal brand and business by building a solid brand foundation for their business so they can share their message with the world, attract dream clients, and make more money doing what they love. This year's summit is all about building a profitable personal brand and business that allows you to authentically show up and connect with your audience. Today, I'm interviewing Jackie Johnstone. Jackie is an intuitive business and marketing strategist in Bordeaux, France, and the creator of the 4 pillars of great social media content system. She works with business owners who are tired of trying to follow other people's paths to success and are ready to do it their own way. With a side of flow and ease, yes please, she helps them develop an unshakable confidence in what they offer and how they market and sell it by tapping into their human design. Today we're talking all about human design and how you can use it to become a magnet for your ideal clients. Please help me welcome Jackie Johnstone. Hi, Jackie.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Darlene.
Thank you so much for being a part of the summit. I'm so excited just to learn more about you and your story and how you became the amazing business owner that you are today. And then I'm even more excited to tap into the human design piece that is, if I feel like it's like a new conversation. I keep hearing human design, what's your human design? It keeps popping up in so many different channels where I'm at.
It's having a moment. Yeah.
I love that you've taken to it so well and that you're able to teach this to so many business owners so that they can use their unique body elements, or however we word it, to grow their businesses and to take their self to the next level. So tell me a little bit about you. We know that you live in France now, but I know that you're not from there. So tell us a little bit about who you are and about your family.
Yes. I'm Canadian. I'm obviously not French, based on my accent. And my husband and I were both Canadian, and we moved to France for 2 years, 7 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And he's a scientist. So we moved for his work. He was doing a postdoc, and we were supposed to be here just for 2 years. And I left a corporate job in Toronto. I was working in communications for a university. My background is in atmospheric science. Yes, I used to forecast the weather and work for the news, the Canadian Broadcast Corporation, and I have a master's in journalism. So I have a really interesting background, and I kind of was on this sort of path of journalism and communications, and then he got the job in France, and I was like, okay, well, we're going to France. So we moved overseas, and I do speak French, but I don't write it well enough to be a journalist here, And yeah. I kind of was looking around like, okay, well, what am I going to do for 2 years? Lots of the other expats I was meeting were teaching English or being a tour guide or, doing waitressing or something like that. And I didn't want to do that. It just didn't, even though I thought it was only going to be temporary, I was like, I feel like I have these other skills that I want to use. Like I want to contribute. I really felt strongly like I had more to contribute. None of those things called to me. And I was unemployed for several months after we first moved here, and it started to get depressing because I am a manifesting generator, which we'll talk about in a second, but basically I'm here to work, and I love working, and it lights me up. So being in a place where I wasn't employed and I didn't know what the heck I was doing felt really like I was really unmoored and like, what am I going to do? And this was in late 2012, and I found the world of online business in early 2013, and the concept of being able to start a business from your laptop without employees, without an office, just using the skills that you have and helping people was like, this had never even occurred to me before. I didn't know anyone that ran their own businesses like that at all. I didn't even have anyone in my immediate kind of circle of family or friends that were business owners. Everybody had jobs, like traditional jobs. Yeah. My parents, my dad was a doctor, my mom was a teacher. It doesn't get more traditional than that.
Yeah, so, you don't start your own business.
Yeah, it was never something I'd ever considered. It wasn't on my this is what I'm going to do with my life board ever. You know what I mean? But it just came into my life at this time, and I was like, something inside me was like, follow this, like go down this path. Like this is for you. This is your next step. And now I know that was this was my gut response, my sacral response, which is part of my decision-making strategy. And we'll get to that in a second, but it was like, this is the next step. And I enrolled in a business training course, and I got my website up online, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I just started doing it. I put an opt-in out there. I started making some offers. I worked for a lot of people for free or for really cheap to try and see where my skills could intersect with what people needed. And it was so fun. Like, it was just so fun to, at the time I was coming out of the journalism and communications world, social media was just taking off, and creating that two-way conversation between the journalist and the audience, or between the university communications people and their alumni, was really fun. And I was like, okay, we can extrapolate this to business. I can help business owners create community, create connections, use their social media to connect with their audience, and of course to make sales. And so that's how I started my business, as a social media consultant, in May of 2013, officially. Wow. So it's been about 6.5 years, and it has grown and changed several times since then, the way that these things often do. Yes. Especially for us manifesting generators who kind of have interest in all the different areas and are, sticking our fingers in all sorts of pies. But the biggest shifts for me happened with the birth of both of my kids. And probably lots of mothers out there will recognize that, like, it just, something shifts, something changes with that. And with the arrival of my first son, he was 2 months premature. And luckily we had, there was no complications aside from the fact that he had to get big enough. So we spent a month in the NICU, but it kind of took my business, which had really gotten to the point where it finally replaced my corporate income. And it was like I had momentum, but I was working like a lot, like 60 hours a week, a lot, too much. Yeah. And then he showed up and everything went just ground to a halt, because I had planned for those last 2 months of getting evergreen things ready and all of the stuff, but it was meant to happen that way because it gave me the space to step back and the time to step back. And I was home with him for about a year before we had childcare. And so I really didn't do a lot on my business for about a year. And luckily I had some income coming in because I had some affiliate partnerships that were allowing me to take maternity leave, which was great. Which is such a blessing. Sorry?
I said it's such a blessing when you have those extra pieces built into your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are things happen exactly the way that they're meant to be happening. But coming back to business after he was born, once I finally had a few days of daycare, things never quite felt right. Like, I felt like something had really changed and my business didn't fit me the way that I wanted it to anymore. And I certainly couldn't work 60 hours a week. That was just not going to be happening with the constraints of having a kid, and I didn't want to. So I had about a year, probably about a year after going back to work, where it was sort of what I call like maintenance mode. I was working with retainer clients. I was working, money was still coming in, but I wasn't growing. I wasn't being super visible. I wasn't doing a lot of the things that I had been doing before he was born. And I kind of was like, I felt stuck. I really felt stuck. Things were still working, but it felt really sticky. And like, I didn't know how to see out of that. And then we got pregnant with my second, and it was a completely different experience. His birth, I had made all this space towards the end of my pregnancy. He didn't show up really that early. He was born at 38. So I had all this time, and something in me just kind of switched after he was born again. And in this time, instead of feeling like I really needed all this space to be away from my business, I really wanted to get back into it. I had all kinds of motivation to dig back in. And I still wasn't exactly sure what the next phase was going to look like, but I had energy for it. Yeah. And that's when human design found me. And this is so funny because everyone that I've talked to has said human design finds you in the exact moment when you're ready for it. And it's like a turning point kind of in your life. And so all of you who are listening now, if you're curious and you're starting to get pulled in, this could be the moment for you where something is about to shift. And this is the tool to help you shift it. And I come from, like I said, I have a degree in science, and my husband's a physicist, super like scientific, like logical, non-woo upbringing and background. And so
Yeah.
the concept of human design was a little bit out there for me. Like, where did this even come from? It's, if you've never seen a human design chart, like this is mine, it looks crazy. Okay, there's all these numbers and lines and letters, and we'll talk about it in a second. But it was downloaded from like a spiritual vision from some guy on Ibiza in the 80s. Like, it sounds like he was high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's a
He
little
probably
bit.
was.
But the cool thing, well, first of all, he kept tugging me, and I was like, you need to investigate this. You need to go deeper. There's something here. There's something here. And so I was like, okay, my mind felt more open. I thought, okay, I'm going to investigate this. And the really cool thing about human design for me was it gives you so much information about yourself, and then you get to decide whether it's resonates for you. I mean, you get to make a decision about what to take and what to leave, and it gives you a decision-making strategy to use and play with to make decisions that are correct for you, decisions that are right for you. And you can use that and make your own N=1 experiment as a scientist and be like, when I make decisions this way, how does it feel? Does it feel better? Do I feel like, am I making smarter choices? Do I feel like the outcomes of my decisions are like making my life easier or harder than when I used to make decisions with my mind and my overthinking and my pro-con lists? Because that's where I was.
Yeah.
I was overthinking all of the things. And it's one of the reasons why I think my business felt so hard at points before, even though I had some success. It was like I was forcing it a lot of the time. I was making a 25-step strategic launch plan because that's the way that people told you should do it, and following it, and then getting frustrated when like it didn't work the way that it was supposed to work on paper.
Yeah.
And how much time I wasted in that frustrated space. But it turns out, kind of one of the tenets of human design is that, like, our minds are amazing things, right? They're here to look at things from all different points of view and to take in tons of different information and to have ideas and to turn them around and to come up with our opinions and all of that stuff. But our minds are really, really, really bad decision makers. Mm-hmm. Because when we make a decision with your mind, and you'll know if you've done this before, we all have, we just like go in a circle. Well, what if I had done it this way? Well, what if I tried it this? What if I'd said that instead of this? And then, 3 months later, you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're still turning over that same thing. Yeah. And it's just like a downward spiral. Well, one of my human design teachers is like, yes, a decision made in your mind can mull it over until you die. And it's true, because that's the way our minds work. It's like we physically don't have all of the software, to use a computer analogy, in our minds to process all the variables. It's like computer scientists haven't solved the problem of how to make an AI kind of robot cross a busy lobby. People do it intuitively. We slow down, we step out of someone's way, we move, we can cross Grand Central Station at rush hour without hitting anyone. The robot like melts down basically because there's too much information, and that's
overwhelmed. It's overload.
Yeah. When we try to make decisions with our mind, we are that robot and we just like melt down. Whereas our body, our intuition, our subconscious has access to wisdom that our mind can't tap into. And our human design shows us what the decision-making strategy is to tap into that. And everybody has their own unique decision-making strategy, and it functions in a specific way, and you can use it and you can see how it works. And one of the coolest things about doing business that way is that it really does help you make better decisions that you feel you don't wake up at 3 a.m. wondering if you made the right one, first of all, because you really actually feel at peace about it. I've had to make some pretty big decisions in my business in the last year as I start to pivot in this new direction. And sure, it doesn't always feel easy to do it, but when you feel the rightness of it, you can get yourself to the point where you're like, okay, well, this is happening because this is what's correct. And I have the evidence that this makes things so much easier. And the clients are coming easier, the business is flowing easier, and it all comes back to whether or not it's correct for you and whether or not it's aligned. And that word gets used a lot in the like woo space, like alignment. Are you in alignment? But like it really is there really is something that we can feel from somebody else when they're doing their soul work, when their energy is behind something, and your human design can tell you that, right? How to make decisions that are actually aligned for you as opposed to are swirling around in your head. And even more than that, for, you know, the context of this interview, when we're talking about attracting your ideal clients, when you're in your alignment, when you're doing the thing that you are absolutely here to do, and you're doing it in the way that you are here to do it, not in the way that Marie Forleo does it, or in the way that Gary Vee does it, or in the way that, you know, any of the big names do it. That's what people feel and are attracted to you. And it's magnetic. Like literally, you don't have to work so hard anymore because people come to you. People, like, opportunities come to you, ideas come to you, clients come to you. The way that things are supposed to work in your business just start to flow. And that's the magic moment where you're like, oh, I remember having this moment of being like, holy crap, it can actually be this easy? What the F have I been doing for the last couple of years? And any time that someone said, oh, just let it be easy, before I was like, yeah, okay, but like how?
And your easy is different from somebody else's easy because we're all different, but we don't know that. We look at what, you know, like Marie Forleo and Gary Vee are doing, and we're like, oh, well, they're successful doing it this way, so I have to do it that exact same way, and we try to show up like them, and that's not us. That's not our normal state, so it doesn't work.
Yeah, and I really believe, like, even before I found human design, one of my core beliefs, just as a human, is that we're all so insanely capable, like way more capable than we give ourselves credit for. But when we're trying to be somebody else's version of that, we don't feel capable because we don't have all of the energy and the strengths and the things that we need to be them. We have the stuff that we need to be capable for us as ourselves. And so once you lean into who you really are, how you're here to do business, how you're here to market in a way that feels good to you, right? That attracts your ideal clients. That's when it's like, oh, wow. Like, this is awesome. This is so much more fun. This is so much more easy.
So much easier. So how do people know? Like, I know that you mentioned that you're a manifesting generator, which I know I am as well. But I know there's different, there's other different types of people. Can you tell us a little bit about the different human designs? Is that
Absolutely. So first of all, to go and take a look at your own human design, you can just Google free human design chart, and there's several places. Jovian Archive is one. MyBodygraph.com is one. We can put some links below the interview for people. Okay. And you just put your birth information in. So it's an assessment test, like Myers-Briggs or DISC or anything like that. But it's, instead of answering questions, it's based on when you were born. And so you put your birth time as close to the minute as you know it, the date and where you were born, and then it brings up a chart. That can look a little bit crazy, but there'll be information next to it that will break it down for you. So there are 5 main types. Generators and manifesting generators are 70% of the world, and it's about half and half in that 70%. And so most of the world is built for us because we're the overwhelming part of the world. And what makes a generator a manifesting generator is this red sacral square that you have in your chart defined, colored in. And that is an almost inexhaustible source of energy to work and build. So generators are the builders, and manifesting generators are the express builders of the world. And we're here to like I said, as a manifesting generator, we get satisfaction from working and from like accomplishing something. And that's why I think so much of the world is focused on productivity stuff, because that's kind of what we're here to do. But the other, 30% of you, which I'll get to in a minute, you probably feel like you're a bit misfits because you don't fit in that space. And so you guys trying to be generators and manifesting generators is how, you're out of alignment and how things are feeling hard for you. But even for generators and manifesting generators, there are places where we can get out of alignment. And the first is that, yes, we have this nearly inexhaustible energy resource, but it only functions like that if we're doing work that lights us up. So if we're doing work that frustrates us, or that we're not, like, it's not our passion, we're going to get burned out. We can burn out just as much as any other type. And so that's one of the reasons why I love the online business space, and every one of you who are watching here who are running businesses or working to run businesses that like allow you to do what you love, right? And allow you to give that to the world. If you're a generator, manifesting generator, like you're on the right track, because that's going to light you up. That's going to give you more energy. And the green light for you is satisfaction. When you feel that satisfied exhaustion at the end of the day, like a job well done, that's like, there's nothing better than that. Yeah. But pay attention to frustration, because that's the kind of red light, you're off the path signal for generators and manifesting generators. The more time we spend frustrated about stuff in our businesses or our lives, the less energy we're going to have. And that's kind of like the, there's a better way here. Let's come back. Let's come back to like whatever alignment looks like for you. And then the next 21% of the population is projectors. And projectors are the advisors of the world. And if you pull your chart and you're a projector, you probably have had the experience of being like, I know exactly what these people need to do to fix their business, fix their family problems, whatever. Like, you see solutions to things and you want to tell people them. The problem is that if you do that unsolicited, give unsolicited advice, people look at you and are like, who's this know-it-all? I can't, like, get out of my face. And then you feel bitter because you're like, but I see the solution. And so the strategy for projectors is to wait to be recognized and invited. So before you give advice, wait for somebody to recognize that you're an expert in that area, or to ask for the invitation. And that, like, just that small shift can start to change how you interact and how you feel. Your signpost. So if you feel bitter, you probably haven't followed your strategy, right? And if you feel successful and like you're doing what you're here to do, then you're like, great, I'm in alignment, I'm on the right path. And that reminds me that I totally skipped over the strategy for generators and manifesting generators. And our strategy, the other part of how we can get out of alignment, is that we need to wait to respond. And this means that, like, we can only, the sacral gives us the yes or no I was talking about, the in response to something outside of us. So especially as a manifesting generator, I've experienced this, and I bet you probably have too, Darlene, where because we're so efficient and we're the express builder, that we have an idea and then we go and we're 16 steps down the path before we realize that actually that's not what I want to do, or this is really frustrating. Why did I ever start this? Right? Yeah. And that's because we didn't wait to respond. We tried to initiate. And initiating, the only type that can initiate is a manifester. And that's the third type. And that's only 8 or 9% of the population. So yeah, it's not great for us when we do that, but it's hard for us as generators and manifesting generators with all this energy to build to wait for anything. And it's not like we're sitting around on the couch waiting, because it's an active waiting. You need to do what lights you up. That's what calls the things. That's what makes you magnetic. But having that pause when you're creating your offers, when you're creating your marketing, just waiting to respond to something outside of you, really changes the game. And so manifestors, if you're a manifester, you are like the powerhouses. You're the innovators, the initiators. And we need you, because you can hear us, right? Generators, manifesting generators need to wait to respond. Projectors need to wait for recognition, invitation. So most of us out here are waiting for something, and you're here, we're waiting for you to get something started, because nothing happens for you as a manifestor unless you start it. So don't wait. You see what needs to happen. You see what needs to get started, and you go and just start. The key for you is to inform people. And you don't like doing that always, because you don't want people to tell you, you can't, you don't have permission, you're going to fail, like all of these things. You just want to do your own thing and be left alone to do it in peace. But you need to tell people what you're doing so that they can get on board with you or get out of your way. And that's what's going to smooth the path for you. So there's going to be less anger about people not seeing your vision, not getting on board, not getting out of the way, and more peace, that you can accomplish what you're here to accomplish as a manifestor. And then the very, very last percentage, the 1%, the rare ones among us are the reflectors, and their charts are completely white. So what we have colored in our chart is like our consistent energy that we were born with. And what we have white is where we take in other people's energy and we're able to feel the other people, right? Take in new ideas. And reflectors have nothing colored. This is my youngest son. So wow. he's a reflector, and the reflectors are here to be the evaluators. They really, because they take in everyone's energy and feel it, they really are very, very, very good at seeing what works and what doesn't work. One of my human design teachers uses this fantastic analogy. If all of those 5 types were to build a town, it's the manifestor that says, here, this spot here, this is where we're building the town. It's the projector that comes in and draws up the plans. This is how we shall build the houses. Then the generators and the manifesting generators come in, and the generators are going to go and build a block. Foundation, 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 walls, 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 roof, 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 because they're very step by step and methodical, and they're going to get it all done. And the manifesting generators are going to be over on their block going, roof, walls, foundation. Oh, I forgot the door. Roof, foundation, walls. Like, because we kind of sometimes go out of order because we're in a hurry to get things done. But our block will get built too. The generators will probably get there first because we always have to go back. But like, it's going to happen in our own way. We're going to get bored if we just have to do 12 foundations in a row. And the town's going to get built. And then the reflectors are going to come in and evaluate it all and be like, this is how it worked or didn't work. This is how well the town got built. So they can be really, really powerful if they're in the right environment, which is really important for them, that people, ask them for their opinions and for them to evaluate. And so everyone has a different role to play, and how that plays out in your business is different, right? And how that plays out in your marketing is different, because unsolicited, for example, projectors making unsolicited cold calls is never going to work for you, right? If you're a manifestor and you feel the urge to reach out and cold pitch somebody, it's probably going to work. They're going to, if that's what you feel the urge to do, because it's like genuinely in your body, you're like, oh, this person, they need this. That's the energy that you have. A projector, someone's going to be like, go away. You might have the answer for them, but they're not going to hear it until they recognize you. And as manifesting generators, we need to take a pause before we create something, before we put it out there, and just make sure that it's on the right, that it's an right? And that it's like really, it's really correct for us. And then we can start applying that sacral energy to like build and to do it. And when we all start to be in our own energy, right, and follow our own decision-making strategy and like own what is ours and how we're meant to operate, that's when the magic starts to happen. Like, I've had clients who, a client discovers she's a projector, be like, oh, I really wanted to do more speaking, but everyone tells me to be a speaker. You have to join a speakers association and then start pitching conferences. And I don't want to do that. And I was like, yeah, don't do that. That's not going to work for you, right? Like, let's think about, is there anybody that that recognizes your talents, that is connected with the speaking world, that you might reach out to and say, hey, can we just talk about this stuff? Well, she did that. She reached out to a fellow author, and the person was like, oh, I love you and I love your work. Let's get on a call. Let's talk about it. She gave her a ton of advice. And then she said, actually, I really want you to come on my Facebook Live. And suddenly she was in front of 250,000 people on this woman's Facebook Live. And so many clients and opportunities and speaking opportunities came out of that because it was correct, right? And it was the way that it was meant to happen. So, and it was so much easier than trying to like cold pitch a bunch of conferences that probably wouldn't have been able to take her on, because they would have been like, well, your energy's not right for this. So, it's amazing. And I really feel passionate about that. Like, once we all kind of really lean into where our strengths are and how our energy is meant to operate, that like, we're so much more capable, and it's so much easier than what we're making it to be.
Yeah. And just listening to our body, I know for myself, like once I realized that I was a manifesting generator, and like, I have to listen to my gut and my heart. Mm-hmm. And I used to be so much in my head, like I should do this, or I could do this, or I would do that. And once I realized that doesn't work for me, and I'm like, I just need to like sit still for a minute and like give myself space to like feel into it. It's so much easier to make a decision based off of knowing that information. And I don't think I've even tapped that much into my human design. Like, I just know like super surface level, like that I am one, and that I need to go with my gut and I need to start using it more. But So for those that are new to human design, and maybe this is their first exposure, or maybe they're like me and they know just a little bit enough to feel like they're dangerous, but not enough to like implement it. What are like the best things to do? So once we pull our chart, we find out what we are, like kind of where do we go from there? So what's like next step for people to really like understand their chart and how to use it?
When you'll see listed on your chart, what's your strategy and authority is what they call it on your chart. And the strategy is, for example, for a manifesting generator is always going to be way to respond. And then the authority is like the second piece. So those two together are your decision-making strategy. So for example, for myself, my authority says sacral on my chart, and that's because my emotional center is open. Okay, so my strategy is wait to respond, and my authority is trust your gut. That's the If you're a generator, manifesting generator with an emotional center colored in, which I think yours is, Darlene. Let me look at your chart. Yeah. So when you have the emotional center colored in, emotional energy, it means you have an emotional authority. So you wait to respond and then listen for your gut, but then you have to wait for clarity because you have emotional highs and lows, right? Some days you wake up and you're just really happy and you have high energy and everything seems rosy. And some days you're in the other place, right? And allowing that to influence a decision in the moment isn't correct for you. Even if you get an in your gut, oh, I really want to go this weekend to like this party that someone just invited me to, but I'm in a super happy place right now. And then tomorrow you're like, kind of lower. And you're like, wait, why did I say I was going to go to that party? I really don't want to.
Oh, that's so me.
And so if you say to them, because any emotional authority, whether you're a manifesting generator or whether you're generators or projectors can have emotional authority, manifestors can have emotional authority, any of you that have emotional authority, there is no truth in the now. You want to at least sleep on it. So say to somebody, yeah, that sounds good. Can I let you know tomorrow? Right? Or in business, like if you're considering a partnership with someone or somebody's approached you and said, hey, will you affiliate for my program? Or do you want to do a webinar for my course? And you're like, oh yeah, I really want to do that. Don't say, oh yeah, I really want to do that in the moment. Just say, oh, you know what? That sounds really good. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you like in a day or two and sleep on it just so that you have a chance to go through the emotional wave. And still then you can recheck in like, does this feel right? Do I still feel like it's an or have I changed my mind? Your emotions are kind of your barometer and learning to like work with that wave. I know it can be frustrating. I have emotional authority clients who sometimes are like, I don't want it. I resent my authority because I have to wait and I want to make spontaneous decisions. But like, you're really here, you're built to do that. And it actually makes you more magnetic. One of my one of my projector friends who's emotional authority was selling her house and she got 3 offers and her real estate agent was like, you should pick one like right now. Cause like, this is, it's time, do it, get it, seal the deal. And she's like, yeah, I can't do that. I got to sleep on it. And he's like, well, they could go away, and she's like, well, I need to sleep on it. And one of the offers went away overnight and the other one upped their offer by like 10 grand. So she was like, that's the type of thing that can happen because it's correct for you to like wait out your wave. So try not to fight it and try and sit into it. So that's the starting point. Look at your authority, your strategy and authority, which together make your decision-making strategy and start using it. Like there's so much in the chart, like all the gates and planets and strengths and like there's like a ton of information in here. But if you were to just only use your decision-making strategy and never go any deeper than that, you would already have like so much gold. And so that's the place to start. You can, if you don't understand what it says when it says strategy or authority and you want to look into it a bit deeper, I'm going to, as a free gift for everybody that's watching this, you can go to JackieJohnson.com/gift and it'll take you to a page where you can enter your birth information and I will send you a mini like 15-minute recording. I'll look at your chart and I'll tell you exactly what your decision-making strategy is and maybe a couple of other little tidbits that jump out at me at your chart for you to use in your business just to get you started, because I really want people to just use this information and just start seeing the results from it. because I've seen it. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it with my clients, the clients I worked with one-on-one and the clients I work with in my membership, who start experimenting with this stuff. Like, it's just, it can change. It can really change how you make decisions and how well you feel like your business fits you and how much easier things can be.
Yeah, that's an amazing free offer. Thank you for offering that up for everybody. That's huge. So,
I love talking about your design chart. So
yeah, no, and you can feel your energy about it. So definitely listen to the summit. Like, you have to make sure that you download Jackie's freebie because her knowledge about this is amazing. So it's going to be so good. I'm going to have to take you up on it too.
I'm super excited to do it. Yeah.
All right. So to kind of wrap things up, I want to ask you a couple fun questions just to get to know Jackie a little bit more. So what's your morning routine? What does that look like for you? And how does it help you with your business?
Yes. My morning routine is in 2 parts because I have 2 children under the age of 4.
Yeah.
And my youngest he's just under 2 now, and he usually wakes up at 6. So I get up around 5:30 because I've discovered that if I have like at least 20 minutes to myself before he wakes up, that I'm like a better mom.
Yep,
and I'm more patient. I don't do anything really like fancy in that time normally. I get my coffee. Sometimes I check in with my like social media and email, and I know people say don't start your day with that, but some days that's just what it feels right to do. Sometimes I read. I usually have a book or 5 on the go. I'm a line 1 in human design, so I'm just like constantly investigating and learning, even just random stuff that has nothing to do with my business. So sometimes I read. Sometimes I will like journal or meditate if I'm feeling really called to that, or if I wake up a bit earlier. Like if I wake up at 5 and I'm like, okay, well, there's no point going back to sleep now. But normally I don't do any of that kind of stuff until after I get them out to school, because I really dislike being interrupted when I'm like in my like bubble to like getting into journaling or doing any self-coaching or anything. So I spend a bit of time with myself. Then my kids get up. I do all the kids stuff. We get them off to school. I'm usually home like around 8:30 or 9, and I don't start work until 10. So the first hour of the day, normally so in my human design, I have gate 15, which is the gate of extremes, which is anybody who has this energy kind of bucks routine and doesn't like to have too much rhythm. So I mix it up. Like, I always have that hour in the morning, but what I do with it really depends on how I feel with the day. Sometimes I'll exercise or do some yoga. Sometimes I will sit and journal or meditate. Sometimes I will like read. It really depends, but I always spend that hour with myself. Like, I'm not working and I'm not on my phone on that hour, like doing social media stuff, because it really makes a massive difference for me when I tap into myself and let myself be quiet in whatever way that looks like. It makes a difference for the rest of my day. And, you know, in this whole human design journey and being able to get into my body and out of my mind, one of the keys to making that happen for me is being quiet. And that doesn't always look like sitting in meditation for an hour, but I need to like be out of like the social media place. I can need to like turn off podcasts and just like have like a bit of headspace. So I let it be fluid. But I definitely always have that time.
Yeah. I love that you do that, because I find that I do the same thing. I get up a little bit before my kids, because if I don't, the day starts too quickly. And I like to have like what I call a slow morning. Like, I need it to be, even if it's just like 10 minutes of slow morning, which some days it is.
Before people are like, where's the Cheerios? Well, can't you turn on the TV? Where's like, then I need.
It's always something. All right. So next question, and you started to allude to that you like to read books. So this should be an easy one for you. What book has made the biggest impact on your growth?
Oh my God, there's no way I can choose one book.
Just pick one. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I feel like this changes like on a moment-to-moment basis for me, because I'm always reading and consuming new stuff, and like it's changing myself. The book that I'm absolutely obsessed with right now is Ask and It's Given by Abraham. Well, it's Esther and Jerry Hicks, but it's Abraham. Like, it's the teachings of Abraham. Like, they channel this person or these beings, and it's kind of like law of attraction stuff, but there's a whole bunch of these really fun games in the back that you can play. and this is like where the experimentalist in me comes in. Like, I'm not sure how much of this makes 100%, like I'm 100% on board with all of it. I'm still woo curious. I would put myself in the woo curious field, but the games are fun because you get to play them and then watch how it does change how you feel and your vibration. And I know the thoughts we're thinking affect the feelings that we have, affect our actions, affect our results, right? Like that's clear. I do a lot of self-coaching on myself. And so anything that I can do to change the thoughts that I'm thinking to make me feel better so that I'm going to take better action and get better results, I'm 100% on board with playing with it. And this book is really fun for that.
That's awesome. Okay, perfect. All right. And if knowing what you know now, what would you do different in your business if you were just starting out?
Oh man, I would let myself be quiet more. I was so busy in those early days of my business, like feeling like I was running on the treadmill, like I had to keep up with everybody else and I had to do absolutely everything that everybody else was doing. And I had to take all the courses and know all the things that like I didn't ever give myself a moment to be like, is this actually what I want? Is this actually what I should be doing right now? And yeah, if I could have just gotten a little quiet and tapped into that earlier, I probably could have saved myself a lot of time and money.
Right? Some sanity probably too. Awesome. And last question for you. What does attract and stand out mean to you?
Be yourself. Be fully expressed and unapologetically you.
Awesome. Jackie, thank you so much for being on with us today. I know I learned a ton, and I know that this is such a valuable tool that so many people aren't aware of yet. And once they tap into it, it's going to change how they do business, how they do life, and how they just live. Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing some of your knowledge and wisdom with us today. I so appreciate you. Where can people find you so they can follow up with you and kind of watch you live your life and your
definitely design? Go and send me your details so I can send you that free recording about your design. JackieJohnstone.com/gift. My website is totally in a need of massive update since my business has kind of pivoted in the last 6 months, but it hasn't been a priority because I've been busy working with people on this stuff.
Yeah.
And
that's life.
Yeah, that's life, right? So it's going to get there. But the best place to find me and follow me is probably Instagram. I'm at Jackie Johnstone on Instagram. And I have a membership community called the Design for Brilliance Collective, where business owners who are interested in like actually doing their human design experiment and applying it and going deeper with like what's in my chart, how can I apply it to my marketing, how can I get my questions answered on this stuff, that's a place for them, and it's so fun. So you can get the details on my Instagram.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Jackie, for taking time from your day to be with us today. Thank you.
This was so fun.